So, first up on the Death of Lawtube. So the reason why I'm in this space, social media influencer, content creator space, is not to make money. I lose money doing this, just in terms of lost opportunity cost. So there's almost no scenario in which being in this space makes me more money than my legal practice. Just not attainable in all likelihood. I entered this space because I was disturbed by the legal miseducation, misinformation, fake news taking place in legal media. That the court of public opinion was being deliberately dumbed down, idiocracy style, so that we did not have an informed populace, an educated populace on their rights, on how the legal system is supposed to function, on how the Constitution intends for our government to work, and that once you have a people that no longer know their rights, a people that no longer know what the law truly is and is supposed to be, then the law will no longer be, and our constitutional liberties will soon be sacrificed, and the American Revolution on its deathbed in its principles. So it was in reaction and response to that I entered the court of public opinion in this manner. What I was witnessing over time was first the political corruption, ideological corrupt contamination of legal media. So the people that covered trials, the people that covered the law, the people that reported on it for the masses were increasingly so ideological that they not only wanted to misrepresent certain issues about a trial, a defendant, a case, a cause, or the law, but they were attacking the very fundamental premise of the rule of law, attacking the very ideas and ideals of the American Revolution reflected in our Bill of Rights of the Constitution. These are people. It was part of a broader assault on Enlightenment principles across the entire West, of which the American Revolution was one of the purest expressions. It was an attack on the idea of the rule of law itself, an attack on the idea of individuals having rights to govern themselves that are non-delegable to politicians, an attack on all of it, on every single constitutional liberty we have. And then social media arose, and the hope was that this could crowdsource information directly to the masses, circumventing the institutional media, to properly educate and inform people on the law. Unfortunately, the people that co-opted and controlled the loudest voices in law Twitter had the same ideological, political biases and prejudices that legal media did. With the same goal, they basically took the fake news of legal media and put it on blast. They expanded it with this new technology. So law Twitter was becoming part of the problem rather than part of a solution. From that arose the beginning of legal social media in the law YouTuber space. Vlogs, as they were sometimes called. And the first big influencer that was promoted by them was, of course, Legal Eagle. He, too, represented the same ideological, partisan corruption of legal news and analysis that was leading people to have the wrong information about cases and causes, but also wrong information about the rule of law and their rights. Now, in response to that, you had these little vloggers popping up that were actually sort of a populist answer to this professional class corruption of legal education. And one of them was little Viva Fry. And Viva, who had started off just trying to figure out ways to use his creative skill set to monetize that skill set in the social media world. For those that don't know, you can go back and see the old Viva videos, and Viva family videos, and him karaoke singing while like skiing and other things, and while jogging and all this fun stuff. The famous squirrel one that went viral. Got a squirrel to take a GoPro, but discovered that there was a bridge into vlogging space that could make that career path more viable, and started covering it. And the case that brought us together, and the case that took him to a whole new level and influence, was the Alex Jones case. He covered the deposition, and he covered it from a nonpartisan perspective. He covered it from the perspective of, okay, I'm a trial lawyer. I know how these depositions are supposed to work. What does this look like? And he was the only one in all of the legal news coverage of the Alex Jones case to be accurate. The rest was also ideologically contaminated, that there was just preposterous, prejudiced coverage of Alex Jones's deposition. From that, we met and started our channel. Around the same time, you had a lot of these smaller vlog channels. Some would come and just disappear. But one that was creating its own little space was Nick Rekieta, doing sort of entertainment coverage mixed in with law. Then he decided to cover trials. I was hopeful. My whole reason for entering this space was that Lawtube could be a populist counter to the fake news of law Twitter and legal media and the institutional favorites within so-called Lawtube, like Legal, to rebut what they were doing to the rule of law, to rebut what they were doing to the principles of the American Revolution, to rebut the miseducation and misinformation and fake news they were spreading about cases and the law itself. And Rekieta achieved that objective by covering the trials in such a way they became more engaging, more interesting, but also free of the bias of the court TVs of the world, and became wildly popular. And in the process, he chose to use his platform to, in turn, platform and introduce almost all the rest of Lawtube. In fact, the phrase Lawtube originates from Nick Rekieta's trial coverage and all the lawyers he was bringing on. What's interesting is how, in the same way his coverage sort of birthed Lawtube, the coverage of his case is really the death of Lawtube. That the temptation all along through the process was to try to imitate the legal eagles of the world, to get the likes of the YouTube algorithms, to get the to get the favoritism of that kind of institutional bias, and to play to whatever works in terms of drawing in numbers. That's why the Viva and I had been critical, but I'd been particularly critical of the Jerry Springer path of Lawtube. That's why we didn't do a lot of coverage of the Jack Murphy case or things like that. So it's like that's going to take Lawtube down a path of being tabloid media coverage. And even Rekieta even went partially down that path, and I quit watching him. But you really see it in the coverage, in that rather than, okay, let's look at what's an informed, educated analysis, let's challenge and question convention and assumption about matters, let's, the methods being utilized in order to get the audience, they're not using good, effective legal discipline. They're either lying or lazy in their coverage. And it's like, well, that experiment was good while it lasted. There's Robert Gouvet, there's us, and honestly, that's about it. Good Logic does some good work now and then. That's basically all. The rest of them are all useless, which you could kind of see as a risk, because the institutional algorithms of YouTube don't want to promote populist challenges to fake news. They want to promote the fake news. And then the easy temptation to play into the social media psychology of social media lynch mob mindset mentality, to trolls, to people who make it easier to monetize your account. Unfortunately, that temptation brought too many in. And so now it's not likely to be civil liberty challenge, populist challenge, American constitutional revolutionary challenge to institutional media. You're seeing coverage that's indistinguishable from how legal media would cover a case of that nature, from how law Twitter would cover a case of that nature. And even some of them think, oh, that must mean they're right. That's almost a guarantee they're wrong. But it is what it is. The nature of the animal, the beast of social media, continues to consume in unfortunate ways.